Now, we've all heard Donald Trump's promises to build a wall on the border with Mexico when he becomes president, but that threat's not stopping the US retail giant Walmart. It says it's investing $1.3 billion to expand its Mexican operations, and it's going to employ thousands more people in the process. Azhar Sukri takes a closer look.
Walmart may be as American as apple pie, but it's also an important part of Mexico's economy. And it's about to play an even bigger role.
Hoy es un día de fiesta.
Today is a day to celebrate, in which we are glad to announce that we'll invest $1.3 billion to expand and strengthen our logistic infrastructure in Mexico. This amount, plus the investment we have done over these past 6 years, will reach almost $3.9 billion.
And the company's decision is being warmly welcomed by Mexico's government.
Son el empleador privado.
You are the largest private employer in our country, so I want to congratulate you and recognize the important contribution you are making in creating jobs in Mexico, and especially because, making this announcement today, you ratify your trust in Mexico and Mexico's future. Thanks for your trust.
Walmart's investment is expected to create around 10,000 new jobs in Mexico, where it already employs more than 200,000 people. It's the company's biggest and most successful overseas operation. But the timing of Walmart's announcement could risk relations with this man, US President-elect Donald Trump. He has promised to get tough on companies that move American jobs overseas. He's boasted about successfully pressurizing air conditioner manufacturer Carrier to save 800 jobs, which the company would have moved to Mexico. And recently tweeted about Rexnord, an engineering firm based in Indiana, describing their decision to shift 300 jobs south of the border as vicious. Walmart says it isn't cutting any jobs in the US as it expands its Mexican operations. But it hasn't always had a smooth ride in the Latin American country. A decade ago, many Mexicans were angry that it was crushing small retailers as it grew. And more recently, US Democratic nomination hopeful Bernie Sanders also targeted the company, criticizing it for not paying its employees a living wage. But in defying the incoming president, Walmart is showing him that business can trump politics. Azhar Sukri, TRT World.
And Azhar's in the studio with us right now. Azhar, so he's often been quoted as saying no more jobs being taken overseas, not going to happen. But it is happening, and frankly, Walmart obviously considers itself such a giant of retail that it can take on the future president of the United States.
It certainly has a lot of clout.
Yeah.
It is the world's biggest retailer, although I think Amazon is catching up pretty fast. Yeah, it is a huge company. You know, essentially what's at the bottom of this is his talk about slapping punitive taxes on companies that go abroad, take jobs overseas, and then sell goods back to America. All of this talk, of course, risks an enormous trade war, particularly, let's face it, with China, which has been his other main focus of attention. You know, all sorts of things could happen if he starts doing this. And it's going to hurt not only Chinese companies. There have been some estimates saying that Chinese GDP could be cut by like about 3 percentage points. But it's also going to hurt American companies, of course, because don't forget, a lot of the global trade that we talk about is actually something called the pass-through. So in other words, it's components that may be shipped from the US that go to China that get incorporated into something and then get shipped back to the US. So ultimately, if you slap taxes on something like that, it just rebounds. Yes, indeed.
OK, now we've seen Walmart defying Trump. There's also Shell getting into Iran. Tell us more about that.
Yes, now, this is an interesting one. Once again, getting into this theme of companies kind of like saying, well, OK, let's wait and see what Donald Trump does, but we're going to carry on and do our stuff. So Shell signing an exploration deal with Iran. This is quite significant. Shell is now the biggest oil company to have signed such an exploration deal with Iran. huge potential reserves to be exploited over there. Total of France signed a $4.8 billion deal with Iran just recently. All of these companies do see the risk of sanctions being reimposed in some form or the other under a Trump administration, but they are taking that risk. And of course, in business, it's always about risk and opportunity. They see a massive opportunity there, but they are, and Shell has said this, that they are proceeding with caution, but they are going ahead anyway. And mainly also because they see a lot of competition from, once again, China. Sinopec has been in there as well, looking to sign
So it's important
oil
for them
deals
to get
with
in
Iran
while it's still just opening up.
Absolutely.
Azhar, thank you for that.